Welcome back to the International Radio Show, Wellspit Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. I'm here with Lionel Thomas. We're talking about ADUs, the valuation steps you can take to improve your property value. And so when Lionel, we were talking in the last segment, and we were talking about, conversion of a house within the footprint.
Yes.
We didn't even mention, attaching, because that same location, they not only wanted to split the home with the master bedroom and adding the kitchen, but also converting the garage, which would be a junior ADU.
Yep.
So really trying to turn it into a triplex. Okay, so the laws allow for certain things, but like you say, they're site specific.
Yes, exactly. City specific.
Yeah,
site specific,
yeah,
yes.
and that's why it's so important to put together a team and to get the right resources and to get local resources as local as possible. We know contractors and people, they have to drive, and we got projects all over. But if you can put together a team, so when you have questions, you can get them answered, and a person like myself with a consultant, you can call me and ask me the same question maybe 4 times or 5 times, but not bother your architect and your contractor, because you want their time to be spent getting the job done and moving the permits down the pipeline and getting the structure up on your property. And so, again, with the laws and with accessory dwelling units, a lot of time people just want to kind of eyeball things, and I get calls and I'm talking to people and they're talking about manufactured, and I think manufactured homes are fantastic.
Yes.
But you can't eyeball the manufactured home and know exactly what you're getting, because the park model that is cheaper and just to be put into a mobile home or manufactured park is different than the one you can put in your backyard. And then that one can be different because if you go, I think it's MHP, or you go to a certain level, it's built to the same level as the standard stick build.
Yeah.
It's just partially done in the factory. But if I walk through 3 identical homes, I mean, structurally, my eyes see the same thing.
Yes.
But my pocketbook won't, and the value of my property won't.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing and maybe some precautions we can take when we're looking towards manufactured homes as ADU?
All right. So just speaking from experience, from my recent memory, I've done one in Miraloma that was like a home built in, let's say, 1940 on maybe half an acre of land.
Okay.
And this, they had a family settlement, and they moved a manufactured home from one site to this site in Rupa Valley.
Okay.
And obviously it's unique. So as an appraiser, picture this, okay? We already described that scenario where the single family is now a duplex, and then we need to find a duplex with 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and 1. Now we're looking at a single family, and we're looking for a comparable that has a manufactured home or prefab home in the backyard. And it gets kind of tricky. We, as an appraiser, you have to prove your adjustments. You have to prove why you do things. You can't just make it up.
Right.
So I find myself searching 5 to 10 miles or going years back trying to locate just one house with that kind of setup.
And then have to make the adjustments as to the
try
quality
to justify
and all that.
the decision.
Wow. And so we talked about moving, because I had a call with someone that they said they could get a manufactured home put in their backyard and everything. But if it's not on the solid foundation, it's not real estate. Number one.
It's movable. Yeah.
Number 2, I've been told and ran into issues that they say once a manufactured home, say if it's in a park or on a lot, if it's moved to another location, it's not insurable. It's like all kind of issues that come up with that.
I didn't like the assignment. It was for a family.
Okay.
But I did it, and like I said, a lot of the appraisals I can just do them. I can just dance through it.
Okay.
Boom, 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 boom. Here you go, customer.
Right.
But sometimes you get properties that are so unique that I'm uncomfortable with my decision making, because I already know that there's not a lot of. This is a unique, one of a kind property. Like basically appraising a church would be another example.
Right.
Because all churches are unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're describing right now is kind of unique, but over time, and as more people make this step, it will become the norm, and there will be comparables. But there needs to be, I guess, more infrastructure to get more done quickly, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think I mean, and one of the things that I really fell in love with at first, and I've kind of and not really backed off, but I've seen some of the issues is that I thought that with a standard home and getting a modular, okay, the modulars are not the old trailer park
Yeah,
homes we're
those are
looking at.
nice.
They're
Yeah.
not your grandparents,
Hmm.
trailer home,
They're
right?
efficient.
And they're efficient and
Yeah.
they're brand new and
Hmm.
the modular is built, I mean, to the same standard as ground up. They're just in the factory, kind of
Yeah.
like a car assembly
Yeah.
line, right?
It's the future.
And everything. And so to get them there, and they're still a little bit cheaper, and to work with a company like U.S. Modular that I'm associated with, to get it from beginning to end
Hmm.
and still save some money was a great thing. But I had some insurance people that says that in your mixing construction types, ground up and modular, that when we come to insuring the property, they had issue. And then again, with some appraisers not being, trained, they'll look at that modular and try to assess it like it's a trailer park modular
Hmm.
versus, you know, California standard construction.
Yeah.
And so any tips on that, or
Well,
other than picking the right modular company,
yeah.
any tips on that?
Well, this is why appraisers, we have different forms.
Okay.
So when you're doing a manufactured modular or a mobile home is kind of what, there's the three M's.
Yeah.
You're going to use what's called a 104C. It has
Okay.
its own specific form and like valuation process.
Okay.
When you're doing a single family, you just use a regular 1004 or what's called a URAR, Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. So just as an appraiser, now we're taking two different forms or two different property types and trying to join it into one. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you can imagine, I'm already scratching my head right when you call me and tell me address. I look it
Exactly.
up and I see it. So
Exactly.
like I said earlier, you need to search wide and go back in time to try to find one, two, or three in order to justify your decisions. But
Yeah.
it's a challenging one.
Yeah, and I think that I mean this is common for any new industry, anything that's
Yeah.
coming out, and it people shouldn't be discouraged.
No.
Again, this is the niche that I'm carving out as a consultant with ADU Advantage, just to be there because it's so many moving pieces. A lot of times, homeowners haven't built anything before. Number one,
Yeah.
Number two is that things change from day to day, and talking to the city, because we can go to the city and talk to the same person
Yep.
about the same project and get a different response based on the words we use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly right.
and so using all that, we're here to let you know that there's resources and that every industry that's involved in real estate, like the appraiser,
Mm-hmm.
like the contractor, consultants like myself,
Mm-hmm.
we're all trying to work together to make this possible and just to be a resource and so forth.
If I had to speak on it for a second, I would say find like a vacant site and just build two modulars there,
Exactly.
right? And that would be at least conforming on that form. But to be honest with you, the forms are all supposed to be changing pretty soon here. So, and the appraisal industry is changing too as we speak. And we appraisers want to do good work. We want to make sure that our appraisals are quality and dependable. And when there's new types and new zoning rules and things are rolling on and changing,
Exactly.
we're like kind of the last horse in the cart, so to speak,
Yeah.
to get our new rules of engagement. If you know what I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah, and I understand you talk about like forms changing. On the multiple listing service now for realtors, there's
Mhm.
the section where they ask this whole series of questions about an accessory dwelling unit,
Mhm.
and people are relying on that information, but we still need a lot of education because just because we call it a casita
Yeah.
or a granny flat
Yeah.
or some other in-law quarters
Yeah.
does not mean it's not an ADU,
Exactly.
and it doesn't mean it is an ADU.
Exactly.
So you have to understand, the components and record the information as well as possible, and to reach out to people who understand accessory dwelling units because it's not simple and it's a moving target right now.
Yes. So to kind of go back to the comparable conversation, depending on how someone enters that listing,
Exactly.
that's how I'm gonna locate it. So if you enter it as a multifamily property or a residential income, and I'm looking for comps in residential, it's not going to be found.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to really, and I guess the MLS systems and the developers have to really look at that and look at what is the best process, and then educate all the users
Exactly.
and how it's set up so that we can all use it
uniformly.
Yeah, uniformly.
Yeah, and I understand that. And like I said, I'm trying to help be that one of those educational hubs to help train people, and and I know it's the attorney in me, but words matter. Okay, the law is for accessory dwelling units. Okay, and they have a definition. Casitas, yes, that's what they were called when they may have been built, but then they've been rehab, garages. I mean, and back, like you said, back in the day, those garage conversions, like we had so many back houses in LA, but you weren't allowed to have a full kitchen, only a little hot plate. You couldn't have a full bathroom. And so we're not talking about those. We're talking about sustainable living spaces. And if you do have some of those old illegal, I will just say this real quick, if you do have those conversions or structures that wasn't, permitted fully or at all, and you kind of know that, or you can't prove this permitted, that the accessory dwelling unit laws now are allowing on amnesty for those violations and allowing people to bring them up to code.
Nice.
Now, it does cost, but the cost of bringing an illegal structure up to code is a lot less than if you have a fire in that structure and somebody gets hurt.
Yes.
Okay? Because you're not supposed to have people living in illegal structures, and if there's a fire or an emergency and they find out that you are renting that or having people live long term in that, the insurance company can wipe you out.
Can I speak on that?
So yes, real quick, because
if you do have a casita that's was done in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s or 2010s, and it has no heat source, it's not really a living area. If it doesn't have smoke detectors, it's not safe to occupy.
Exactly.
And this is what she's referring to when you want to bring it up to the modern standard. At least safe, sound, and sanitary would be the minimum.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so we definitely need to know that. And we're here to help you, and so please reach out to us. Lionel, can you tell them how they can reach you and contact you?
Yes, you can call me directly on my cell phone. My cell phone number is 909-510-3353. My website is newmanthomas.com, NEWMANTHOMAS.com, and you can click and schedule an appointment with me right away.
Thank you so much for listening in. I'm Dr. Sharon Barnes, and you can reach me, connect with me on social media at ADU Advantage on LinkedIn and YouTube. Dr. Sharon Barnes, Real Estate and ADUs on Facebook. And so please reach out. We want to be the resource to help you make your ADU dreams a reality, put together the right team, direct you to the proper sources, help you with financing. And if you're in the industry and you're looking to serve more people and make more connections and get more projects in the Inland Empire, please connect to me, because I am building a unit, networking unit to really serve our community. So have a great day, and I will see you next month. Be safe.